I'm ready, welcome back. Come on. And welcome back. And welcome back. Welcome back, Sonny. 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 Come on, y'all. That thing hypes me every time I hear it. Come on. Welcome back, Sonny. Welcome back. Come on, Sonny. It's Sundays with Sonny, baby. Start your work week off with me. Woo! Mr. Nelson, hello, sir. Nice to see you last night. Mr. Simmons, hello, sir. Check in on this timeline. Start your work week off with me. Sundays with Sonny. Welcome back, Sonny. I'm doing it for the culture today, baby. D, let it ride. Chief, welcome back, Sonny. We're going to get into it. I got a special guest today. Mr. John Bell Jr. himself will be joining me in the studio. As y'all can see, I don't have no Fiji today, but I do have some water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Summer is not over. And even if it is, your body always needs water. Welcome back, Sonny. Come on this timeline. We're going to get into some things. Miss Adams, always a pleasure to see you and your husband. Love that. Love that. Come on in here. Ooh, you know we need ya. Ooh, we know we need ya, Sonny. We know we need ya. Right here is where you need. Welcome back. Welcome back, Sonny. Y'all, we gonna get into some stuff before I get to my guest. We gonna listen to the music. I'll be right back, y'all. This is Sundays with Sonny. Start your work week off with me. Football on. Give me the scores. Hey, look, where them hot girls at? He asked, was there hot girls there last night at that Summer Breeze? Yes, indeed, they were. And I'm so glad to have been a part of that. That is an activity. If you are grown and sexy, you just shouldn't miss. It's certain things in the DMV I kind of sort of feel like you shouldn't miss. I send your facial expression. This is my thing. I get that it be the same people, the same things. However, if these same people and same things weren't here, what else are you going to do? And then when they go, you're going to miss them. So maybe not go to everything all the time, but there should be just some things that people should really attend. And Summer Breeze is just a great activity. I like the fact that black men rent out the National Stadium. Maybe, you know, just the thought of, like, look past the party. Look at the action that went into the party. These black men have to know, they have to trust them that they're not going to be smoking no weed, no cigars. They're going to leave their place in 100% and all of those things. So that's my biggest thing with them. So shout out Tricky Entertainment. Another great Summer Breeze. Of course, Donnell Floyd did his thing. Are you a go-go head? You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love go-go.
All right, look, before we get into it, let me go and formally introduce him. Because, see, we'll sit here and talk like old buddies, but we're not going to do that today. And I get on you all a lot as podcast hosts. Although you are interviewing your friend, your buddy, your whoever, it shouldn't read that way. This a job. We got something to do here. So, Sundays with Sunny. Hey, he's my first male guest here for Sundays with Sunny. Wow. Man, you know what they say. A man should always walk through the house. So, Mr. John Bell Jr. himself, how are you today, sir?
I'm blessed. Too blessed to be stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed.
I love that. God got me.
At all times.
At all times. I see you rep a lot of very inspirational shirts and a lot of shirts that state God on them. You want everybody to know that it is God that works through you.
Exactly. God worked through my wife, and my wife is the one who designs my T-shirts. I just come up with the sayings, where God puts the sayings in my spirit, and I always get them put on shirts. But I definitely want everyone to know that no matter what you see, I'm just the shell and the vessel God uses to get His point across, to get His message out, and also to let people know that you can win after you've taken a loss.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that. Let's start off slight. Because we're gonna get into it.
Okay.
Gucci. Who is Gucci? Who was Gucci?
Well,
is there still a Gucci?
Let me say this. Well, the person that was named Gucci, my mama gave me that name, and I promise you, this is probably the third time I've ever said this in front of an audience.
Okay.
Well, my mother, I got the name from my mother tickling me a lot. Okay. And my mother tickled me a lot. Used to say Gucci, 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 Gucci.
Okay.
So that's how I got the name. 1978. That's when I got it. So, but because what society had placed around me and my environment and my upbringing, I turned the innocent Gucci into something different. And that someone different led me into a life of crime and violence and things of that nature. But if it wasn't for the place that Gucci took me, you would have never met John Bell.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
You would have never met John Bell.
Do you think Gucci would make it now here in these streets?
No.
No.
With that mindset that I had, because of the fact I wasn't even comfortable with being myself, and of course you know me from back when we was wearing stinky gym shirts up key.
Right.
So, but that I was, no matter how much praise or how much popularity I had, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy because I was being the person that society said I had to be in order to be accepted. So
you didn't like being popular?
No, I won't say that. I didn't like the things that came with the popularity. Everybody loves the positive things about being popular, but it's a lot of negative things that comes with it too.
Give me one.
You have enemies that you don't even know about.
Okay.
That's you got enemies that you don't even know about, and then you have people that just dislike you because your name is spoken a little bit more than theirs. And then you have some people who become envious with saying that if I can just knock him off, or I can just fight him and beat him, I can get the exposure, or I can get the accolades that he gets. So a lot of times I will walk into an environment and not being liked, and I don't even know you.
Okay. Did you know in Francis Scott Key days, junior high school, that you were going to be rough? Did you know you was going to be Gucci, the dude, so to speak?
Yeah, because it started when I was in elementary school.
So you already knew?
I already knew because the way my brother set the bar high for me. Because of who my brother was, he was kind of big for his age at the time, and he was really aggressive. So when my brother went to jail for attempted murder, all his friends and my environment said that I had to be his successor.
Why though?
Because that's the environment that we grew up in.
Okay.
So if you was the big brother and you went hard, your little brother had to go hard, and the brother after him, your little cousins. It's kind of the way we grew up, where it was more of you doing this versus than doing this.
But you played basketball. Did your brother not see that you could have easily had a college career in basketball?
My brother started cutting up before I started to blossom into the athlete that I was.
Okay.
So by the time I started to blossom into the athlete that I was, my brother had already done the damage.
Okay.
He had already set the tone, and he was already long gone in prison when I started to blossom into the athlete that I became.
When he was in prison, did you call him for advice about the game, about what you were doing, Gucci the dude?
Nah, because I didn't see my brother as an athlete. Even though my brother could play,
right.
Only thing I saw was my brother, the womanizer, the players, the ladies' man, the go hard bully. That's all I saw.
Okay.
And so that's what I emulated, because that was my version of what a man was supposed to be.
Okay. Do you see now, and we'll get into a little bit more about the powerhouse movement, but do you see now?
Shout out to Ern Golf, Powerhouse.
Yeah. Hey, Ern, how you doing? Do you see now in the kids that were the age where, do you see it in them now? Do you see Gucci's in these kids now?
That's what motivates me, Sonny.
Okay.
That's what motivates me, because I see there's one of me in every neighborhood. And the reason that's what motivates me, because I can relate to a lot of the stories or a lot of the conversations that these kids have, because a lot of them are looking for an answer. A lot of them have questions they don't even know how to ask them. A lot of them have their peers are their role models.
Right.
So if that's the case, we have the blind leading the blind, not only in Northeast, Southeast, Northwest. We got it in PG County, and Suitland, Capitol Heights, Jig Heights, in the DMV area, probably all across the East Coast. We got a lot of younger guys that's growing up, and they don't have a role model. They don't have nothing to follow. This is why you see our younger guys looking like rappers.
Okay.
Because they have became the role models. That is their example of success. So this is what they're following.
Okay, we gonna get into that. Hey, y'all, give me a minute. I am sitting. It's Sundays with Sonny. I got John Bell Jr. here. Tune in. This is Gospel Go Go by Chance. So I did that for you. I usually listen to some ratchet music, but for you.
Do your thing. Ern said I'm here.
Watch this work, Ern. Watch this. Ern, watch this. I don't want you looking at my.
This is gonna be another entity at the Powerhouse, man. Another entity, studio, podcast, breathe life into the people.
All right, we back, y'all. I'll take it back because we got a lot to cover, so I'm totally with it. So we know that. How long you spent in jail?
13 years, 3 months, and 6 days.
When you first got there, shell shock. Were you prepared? Give me your thoughts.
Well, the first time I went to jail, it was in Upper Marlboro, and jail was kind of like a homecoming to me in Upper Marlboro, because everybody that I saw from around my neighborhood was in Upper Marlboro. Like you like, dang, I wonder where Slim go, or I wonder where he go. And then when you go into walk into Upper Marlboro H12, which is the intake unit, you just see so many people that you already know, and you're like, wow, no wonder why I'm seeing you, because you was locked up.
Okay.
So I wasn't shocked when I went to the county jail, and from the county jail I went to the state prison. That was my first bit from 97 to 99. I was kind of shell shocked when I saw how high the violence was inside the prison wall.
D, turn that down for me because we about to get into something. Thank you, baby. Okay, the violence in the prison wall, where it should be a controlled atmosphere.
Yeah, it definitely should be a controlled atmosphere, but I was kind of shocked by how people didn't respect life. Like, people were getting killed. I seen a guy get stabbed in ECI on my first state bit. I seen him get stabbed on a rec yard over some Freaknik pictures. Some Polaroid pictures that he had got sent in. And when you get pictures sent in and they freaky pictures, you rent them out to another inmate.
Okay.
And because he had kept the pictures over his time limit, the guy stabbed him. over some Freak League pictures. So that was my first image of, not the county jail, of prison life. So when I seen that, I said, they don't have no respect for life in here. So it calls you to tighten up a little bit. Watch what you say, watch who you hang with. You know, don't be in too many places too long. If you're in a child hall, get out quick. It was a lot of crazy stuff. But
What about, now I notice a lot of guys in jail run to the Muslim faith. Did you do that?
no way. I'm gonna tell you this. No disrespect for anyone that's in this.
Hold on 1 second. D, turn that down for me, baby. I appreciate your love.
You have a lot of young guys that don't have the love or don't receive the love from the male figures that they have in their life on the streets.
Okay.
When they are introduced to the prison system and they are introduced to the Islam community, the way the brothers from the Islam community run it in the prison system is a hands-off mentality. Meaning you can't hit one of us. If you hit one of us, we all coming. Okay. So it's more like a brotherhood.
Right.
It's like a sense of belonging and of being important and a sense of love that they don't get in their households.
Okay.
So once they come into the prison system, and some of them are scared, so they see this as their protection. So then they take their shahada.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So did you know God while you were in prison?
I knew of God.
Okay.
But I didn't know the story of Christ.
Okay.
I knew of God. A buddy of mine, his father, the one that taught me how to pray. But I really didn't understand the story or why I was believing until I was put into a place where I had to believe.
Mm-hmm. Did you take responsibility for what you had done to end up in jail? How long did that take?
I think it took me about 5 years.
Did you notice a difference in your prison stay once you admitted that you were wrong?
I realized I was wrong at I came in 2002, so I think about 2007, I started to stop pointing the finger at everybody else from where I was and start looking at what I did to allow me to be where I'm at.
Okay. Did you lose any friends while you were in prison that you felt like should have been right there because of what you had done?
I lost a lot of friends from the time they put the cuffs on me because I realized that people were only around me because of what I brought to the table. And it takes an adverse situation or adverse time in your life to really weed these type of people out. So once I went to the prison system and I started to see people fall away, I'm talking about people that I risked my life for, in and outs, fighting, shootouts, and things of that nature, paying bills, and all those things that I've done. I thought that these people were my friends. I thought that these people were going to be the first ones I can count on, but they would end up being the first ones that left.
Mm-hmm. What about your mom? I know that y'all have a nice, I look at your mom and son relationship and it seems like it's very current. Like you call her, hey, what you doing today, chick? You all right? Mm-hmm. Everything good? You seem like you all have a very current relationship. What was she like while you were in prison?
Well, my mom was my backbone. My mother, if it wasn't for God sending my mother to me in various times in my prison sentence, I wouldn't have made it home. Because it was times when I felt like giving up because I was saying that, I wrestled with my time. I'm 23 years old. I'm not going to be home till I'm 36. So I'm saying to myself, man, I don't see the light at the tunnel. I don't feel as though that I'm going to be able to make it out of here because there's too many lonely nights. And once you get over one lonely night, you say, I know there's more to come. So it's got to a point where sometimes you just wanted to give up, and just start going with the flow of the prison system. Every stabbing and fighting and things of that nature. But it seemed like every time I would make up my mind to just give up out of the blue. Bell, you got a visit. And I pop in the visiting room, my mother would be right there. Or I get a visit, or I get a letter, or she had called the counselor and said, tell my son to call me. It was things like that that kept me focused and kept me, I won't say sane, because, I made a selfish decision to take me to prison, and I would have made another selfish decision to stay in there. So it took for my mom to kept sprinkling her little love in order for me to come out of there. So my mother was everything to me, everything.
What about being a dad in prison?
Let me say this. For those who say you can't be a father from the prison system, it's a lie.
Okay.
It's a lie. Because what I did with my son, I made sure that he had a cell phone in his hand so I can stay with him, I can grow with him and hear and just be a constant voice in his ear so he can grow together. Other than the pictures and the phone calls, that's how I watched my son grow up. But I stayed in my son's ear the whole time, and I wrote him a million letters, even if he didn't understand it. I know one day he will understand.
Right.
And that was the only thing that kept me and my son connected while I was incarcerated, was the phone calls and the letters that I gave him. When I came home, he was just staring at me. And I was like, what's wrong? He was like, because you're finally here.
Mm-hmm. How old was he when you came home?
He was 18.
Wow, what an age.
He was 18. He was 5 when I went in, and he was 18 when I came home.
18, graduating from high school, many transitions. So you kind of are there at the perfect time, though. What is you guys' relationship like now?
Like, that's my best friend.
Okay.
That's my guy. I mean, he really values, who I am. He really values my opinions and my thought process. And he constantly tells me, man, Dad, I'm just so proud of you. You are the reason why I don't allow people to live by excuse around me. Because he could have lived by excuse saying my father not here or my father not here and chose to crash or follow anybody else that was supposed to be a male figure in his life, but he chose to stand on his own. And for that reason, I tip my hat to my child because of the fact he became a man without a man to follow.
And he just through pictures and mutual friends, definitely seems like a good kid.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't think that his dad was in prison majority of his young life. Wouldn't think that at all.
He's awesome. He's amazing.
Shout out to his mother. Shout out to his mother because that worked out. So, did your son have a mentor when he was young?
His grandmother.
Okay.
His grandmother is the reason why my son didn't get caught up in the stories about me. Like when she was taking me to the barbershop, and they would say, he said, well, Dad, everybody talks about you at the barbershop, say you was this and you was that. And I would tell his grandmother, don't take him to that barbershop anymore. Okay. Because if my son finds out anything about me, he's going to hear it from me. And I don't want him to feel like he has to chase an image that was totally false. Okay. I don't want him to think he had to live up to my shoes in a negative light. So I told her to stop taking him around the places I used to frequent, stop taking him around people I used to deal with. And I'm thankful that she did that. But she kept her hands on my son, and that's what she molded and pruned my son, his grandmother.
All right. Do you have a best friend?
My mother is my best friend. My mother is my best friend. My son is my best friend. And now my wife is my best friend. I'm trying to find a way. You have a friend that passed away that made an impact on you. Talk to me about that friend. My man Timothy Lee Bickham. He and I met when we were in grade school, Shadyside Elementary. And at the time, he was forced to be a man in his household before it was even his time. Okay. I mean, he was forced to pay bills. He was forced to do, and this is at 14 and 15 years old. He didn't even really have a childhood because he was forced to be responsible. Okay. And no one really knew him. I don't care what no one say. No one really knew this man like I knew him. From the times we sat down and pulled the mask off and have these intimate conversations about the things that we were scared of, the things where we feared, the times when we didn't feel like a man and we had to portray a certain image in order to get the respect to make us feel comfortable. this young guy, man, was so full of hate and anger because he wanted to know why. He wanted to know why he didn't get a chance to have a good childhood, or why he had to be a certain way in order to be loved. This young man was damaged. He was damaged goods, and I saw that. I saw that because we kind of shared the same story.
Okay.
So, he and I, we caught a case together before, and I had took the weight for the case, and they cut him loose. And when I came home from doing the time from my first case, he and I had a falling out. And from that point on, we were okay. He knew that if something went down, he could call me, and I would be right there for him. But we wasn't as tight as we were supposed to be.
Okay.
And I think the streets had divided that. But when they took his life in 2004, I was incarcerated. I still haven't mourned his death. I still haven't been to the cemetery to see him. I still haven't been able to see his son. It's a lot of things that I still haven't done. And, regardless, he's always going to own a piece of my heart. That was like my little brother, man. No matter how crazy, how wild this young guy was, I'm the only one that he would listen to, and I'm the only one who can calm him down. Man, rest in peace, Tim Dog, man. Love him to death, but, that right there woke me up.
And that's what, death, people tend to take death and go whatever way with it. But that's what I have kind of heard you say back and forth, like that woke you up. So now that you're all awake, now that you are in prison and you are awake, now you are still Gucci. You still Gucci, but now you see a baby John. You see a baby John being born. What happens? Now what? Now, instead of filling your days with dumb stuff, now what are you filling your days with doing while you're in jail?
Well, one thing I can say, Sonny, one thing you can never outrun is fatigue. And you get tired of doing dumb things because you get tired of the consequences of these dumb things. Mm-hmm. So what I started to do, I started getting tired, and I started to open my eyes to what I really needed to see versus just overlooking, oh, nah, he don't really mean that, or he don't really mean that, or they're with me because I'm a good person. And I started to open my eyes and realize that people were only around me because some of them wanted protection. Some of them just wanted, because of the fact I was hustling in prison. Some of them wanted to make sure they could go to commissary every week. And when I started to open my eyes, I was like, well, a lot of the things that I get into have nothing to do with me. Most of my beefs in the prison system had nothing to do with me. Most of my beefs in the streets had nothing to do with me. Because I value life more than I value the streets. And so now that I'm in the prison system, my mom always said Gucci protected John.
I love that.
She said Gucci protected John to make sure John can come out. But at the end of the day, I needed both sides in order to come home.
That's it.
I needed both sides. But
you better talk, boy.
Yeah,
you just said something. I'm going to tell you something. You just said something. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but you just said something that a lot of grown folks don't realize. And sometimes I try to teeter top with the people because you could be up here and they don't get it. But you just said something. Gucci protected John so that John could come out. How many of us have that, recognize that, work with that? Sonny knows full well Danielle protected Sonny. Mm-hmm. I know that. It wasn't the other way around for me. It was the other way around for me, if you get it. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, shout out to your mother. I love that. I love that. Hey, look, I got Mr. John Bell Jr. here. Of course, I think we've already sipped a little bit of coffee with you guys. Man, we about to go ahead and get into our entrees, and we're going to talk and see if we can maybe not change your life, but maybe make you think of something,
Provoke thought.
Mm-hmm. Hey, y'all, be right back. I'm listening to a little gospel go-go. I got John Bell Jr. here. Man, tune in, reach out to my dude. He trying to do some amazing things. Let's just stay on the line, because some of the things that he's doing, I know you want to do for females. So if you on this line, hey, I got you. I ain't gonna just bring you any convict now. I'm gonna bring you a good one now.
Yeah, I'm good. Shout out to my man John. You know, he's definitely gonna be a part of the curriculum at the Powerhouse. Shout out again to my man Aaron Goff, man. I hope you hold them Redskins now. Making sure they're doing good.
We're not doing that on here. You know we're not doing that on here. You know we're not doing that on here. I don't even know why he did that. Now you know we're not doing that on here. So are you a Redskin fan?
Yes.
Die hard.
Die hard.
Do you understand people that are Dallas Cowboy fans here in the DC area?
Yes. I understand that.
But
I understand it wholeheartedly, and I think I'm mature. I'm in a place in my life where I just love the game of football.
Okay.
So regardless of what team you represent now, I don't care.
All right.
Yeah, I don't care.
Hey, look, y'all, we gonna jump.
It's fun. It's all fun and games.
It's fun and game. Y'all, we gonna jump back into it. You in jail? What made you pick up a pen and start writing?
Well, actually, Sonny, at the time when I started getting fatigued, let me stop. I got into a fight with a guy that kept asking me to come to church. He didn't like the fact that a lot of people were intimidated by me. So he did his best to make sure that people knew that he wasn't intimidated by me. And sometimes he overdid it. So he kept saying, come to church, come to church, come to church. And I was like, man, how can you keep telling me to come to church? But then right after that, you're trying to do something to provoke me to fight. So one day we got into it, and I'm trying to get him to just leave me alone at this point because I'm tired of fighting. Like I've been fighting for 5 years straight, and I'm talking about like every week, and I'm tired. So I told him, go ahead about your business, man. I don't want to fight you. So what he did was, when I turned my back on him, I had a mirror on my locker, and I'm looking out the mirror, and he's behind me like this. So I was like, man, if you sneak me, you better kill me. So long story short, we got into a fight. And of course, he shouldn't have. Some people that just don't supposed to fight, because you know you can't.
Right, okay.
So in the midst of the fight I was fighting, I had fractured my hand. I had a boxer's fracture, which pushed my knuckle down to the back of my hand. So I had a cast on. And in the midst of me having that cast on, I'm having to ask people for help, which made me miserable. I couldn't play basketball, which was my outlet, which made me miserable. I couldn't work out, couldn't do anything. So I was so miserable because of this cast that I went to prayer and I asked God to change my life. I don't want to be this way. Whatever you have to do, take it out of me. Whatever you have to do. I cut the cast off 3 weeks early. Sonny, with tear-filled eyes, I came up out of that prayer, and a guy that I already had beat up was outside of my cell waiting to fight. God is my witness. And I'm like, I just told you I don't want to be this way no more. Why is he sitting here? I just broke his nose 2 weeks ago. Why is he sitting here ready to fight? So after that happened, it was like God was saying that if you really want it, you're going to have to work for it. If you really want peace, you're going to have to work for it. So I had to work to get that part of me out in order for the things that was good to come in. So God had allowed so many different situations to come into my life at that time to strengthen the part of me that was going to help me be the guy that I am today. Like in any area that you're weak in, the only way you get strong in it, like you got to work at it. So I had to work at getting those things out of me, my weaknesses, in order to be strong in who I am today. So I would say, when I went to the shoot, I prayed and I asked God, I said, Lord, I know you're bringing me home to my family, but I need to make sure that I'm ready, mentally, physically, and spiritually. 2 weeks later, I went to solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is when you stay in the cell for 23 hours a day, you only come out for 1 hour a day. I stayed in there for 9 months. So in that process, that's when me and God had our one-on-one.
Did your book come out of that 9 months?
Yep. I wrote memoirs from my cell in 8 days. The manuscript was written in 8 days.
Okay.
The manuscript was written in 8 days. I actually asked and prayed God. I said, Lord, I don't really like working for nobody. So you got to give me a gift to be able to feed my family, but also to serve you. And that very next morning, I wrote 11 poems, and I've never wrote a poem in my life.
Okay. So while we in jail, we writing. Do you have a plan of what you gonna do when you get out?
The only thing I really wanted to do, because I seen so many of the younger guys coming in at 19 and 20 years old with 30 and 40 year sentences. Excuse me. My only plan was to come back home and give back to the community, to give back to the kids, to try to lead them in the right way. I feel as though because I trained them, I trained a lot of young guys to be drug dealers and to be, gangsters and, liars and womanizers. I trained them by just living my life. And I felt as though that I had to come back home and undo what I had done.
Now, turn that down for me, babe. Thank you. You wanted to undo. Once you got home and you seen our culture. Because it's one thing for somebody to call you and tell you. It's another thing to watch the news and kind of see it. But when you come home and see this culture for what it is, first thoughts. He's from Maryland. He's from what part of Maryland? Suitland, Maryland. Suitland, Maryland. Shocked, disturbed. Give me some adjectives.
I was crushed, and I was heartbroken because I had seen residue of those guys coming into the prison system.
Okay.
So on the compound, I was a kind of a guy where so when the younger guys come in, they always direct them straight to me for a care package. With them, they homies. We had a few homies that came in. Here, homie, whatever. Okay, I said, all right, cool. So when I came outside to meet them to give them a care package, I see 4 guys standing there and they had tattoos all over their face and things of that nature. So in the prison system, the only people that wear tattoos on their faces when they from LA or from Memphis. So I kept on walking right past them. And then I said, hold up. Where the homies at? And I heard the younger guy say, we homies. I mean, I'm from DC. I'm from uptown with no reason. I was like, what? That's what y'all doing out there now? Y'all got big money bags tattooed on y'all face? And it was a shocker to me. But when I came home and I seen how many of our younger generation was homeless and strung out on this K2, I was heartbroken. When I was in the halfway house, I seen the younger guys so high off the drugs, they were having full-blown conversations with their hats and their shirts, and they was arguing about a joint in the ashtray, and we're talking about 21, 22 years old.
Let me ask you something, because that's something else. I'm glad you said that. When you were doing your thing, did you get high?
Nah, I drank.
You drank. So you wasn't a smoker, you wasn't a tester, nothing. You drank.
I popped bottles like a lot.
Because what's strange to me is how younger and younger they are going on dope and coke and crack and K2s. It's a dope thing. It's a dope nod at 21.
I'm gonna say this, Sonny. All right, let's go back to when we used to listen to rap music.
Okay.
They talking about Jay-Z, Scarface, all of them, whoever you're, Tupac. They talked about gangster stuff.
Right.
They talked about getting money.
Yep.
And they talked about, street stuff, things like that.
Right.
That was our generation. The generation today, they're talking about popping perks, mollies. They're talking about drug addict stuff. So because the rappers are the biggest influence to our generation, this is the product. This is the product. For people to say that rap music doesn't influence, that's a lie. That's a lie. The reason why our kids are falling into that because of what they're listening to. This is what they're feeding themselves every day. Percocet, all this so crazy. This is the reason why it's like that. If you look at it.
Do you think our generation created what we see now?
I think our generation was responsible because it wasn't enough of us getting involved.
Okay.
Too many of us men that had the answer, we turned a blind eye.
Okay.
I feel as though 2 of us, and many of us that could have done something about it, we went to prison. And when we came home from prison, we didn't go do anything about it.
Okay.
When we survived our drug addictions or whatever we survived or our storm, we chose to be silent versus having a voice and going out and trying to change something.
I noticed our generation and previous, they at least most of the drug dealers graduated high school.
Right. These
kids today are not even doing that. Where do you come in at? Because this generation now don't want to hear how we are speaking right now. They want us to tell them, so to speak, what they want to hear. How are we going to keep these lines of communication open that we're honest with them and they're honest with us and they can ask us honest questions? It bugs me when I see a older guy that's been in the prison system and he's so cleaned up that he forgot he was dirty, if that makes sense. Definitely. That's the problem that I think the kids are having, and that's the problem that I have. That you so cleaned up that you don't remember having to feed your mom or your sisters and stuff like that. You don't remember having to make a choice of, do you go to school or do you go and make this money? Like, I don't know. Talk to me.
Me personally, if you, and this is what I said to you the other day when we was together, our people suffer because survivors choose to be silent. If you have overcame something, if you have been in a situation and you survived and you're mentally and physically able to go back and tell someone how you survived, that's your obligation. God didn't bring you through that for you to be quiet. So I'm saying that a lot of people come out of a situation and forget that they were once that. Mm-hmm. And me personally, I don't think people understand how powerful your testimony is. Like I said the other day when you and I, Aaron, was talking, if our generation doesn't do something about what's happening right now, it will not get done. Because if you look at this, Sonny, from our generation to the next generation to the next generation under that, we're looking at 3 or 4 generations right now. It gets worse every time we look down the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only ones that still have that foundation, village foundation, principles being raised under that foundation, it's our generation. So we are the ones that's responsible for passing it back down.
Well, what do you say to the person that say, I got through it? Look, these kids, they do too much. They ain't got time. The kids are different.
You know what I say to them? The kids that you choose not to give back to, the kids that you choose to look over, what if your son befriends these kids?
Okay.
What if your daughter falls in love with these kids that you choose to look over?
Right.
Then you have no other choice but to look into them. So why not do it before it hits your doorstep?
Why not do it before it hits your doorstep? I like that. I like that. Oh, you burnt. Look, you frustrated tonight. Look at him. He riled up. Look, I know how to get him. Look, he riled up, y'all. But he riled up for the right reasons. Now, again, you and I talk a lot about, how people can change their community and they don't. How they could be helping their community and they don't. What are little things that people can do besides talking about it? What are some other things?
There's so many. Man, it's crazy.
That's what's up. And that's why I wanted you to be here.
There's so much that we can do if we just choose to get together.
Okay.
Me and Ern, we threw a mother and son event about 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And when we threw this event, in our heads, it was going to be a big turnout because we see the problems out here. We ride past them at the BP gas station, at the Shell, all of them scrounging over to get some money to buy some K2. We know there's problems. My inbox is full of problems, but the people didn't show up. About 4 or 5 moms showed up, but I know there's so many kids that have problems these days. I'm saying that if we don't put our pride aside, that we're not going to be able to get it done. The only way we're able to do it is we got to start looking at these positive posts that's on Facebook, that's on Instagram. We got to start getting behind these movements. The reason why our people can't push forward because we don't have our people pushing us.
Very true.
If I put out a flyer about a party or no disrespect to nobody who does that, but as soon as we put out a flyer about something, a party or something where everybody's going to be, everybody's sharing it, everybody's spreading the word. But if we put out something that you need, this is a need in our community.
All right.
And it don't get shared. We're here to help y'all. Our kids are good.
That's what I said.
Ern's son in college. My son making a great amount of money as an IT tech. My daughter's in them good, but now my thing is I can't stop because my kid's good.
Right.
I want to make sure your kid's good.
Okay.
But we don't get behind each other. That's why we still in neutral.
Purpose, legacy, and calling. What's your purpose?
My purpose is to continue to breathe life into those who have given up. Be the light in darkness. Try to make sure that these kids do not put on the shoes that I just took off. That's my purpose.
Your legacy.
My legacy is to leave something behind that when my life is over, when God says, son, is over with, I want my message and my work to live years and years after me. Like they still listen to Dr. King tapes.
Yeah.
I want them still to be looking at the videos that I posted on Facebook about change, about love, about life. I want to make sure that my imprint is felt in this community before I pass on.
What's your calling?
My calling is to be exactly who God called me to be. A minister, a motivator, a husband. I want to say an example of man. Example of a man of God. That's my calling. My calling is to spread the word and testify God's work. That's what I'm called to do.
Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. One of the best Bible verses. That's the verse that gets you through? Deuteronomy?
You better say it. Deuteronomy.
Yeah, it gets you through?
I'm talking about, like, I can't express how much the scripture means to me. I can't express how much that when I really started to understand the scriptures, not just reading them. A lot of people don't pick up the Bible to get an understanding. They pick up the Bible just to read. But when they say the Bible is the sword of life, if you pick up the Bible to gain understanding, you will get all the help you need within those scriptures.
When you are mentoring kids, do you notice that kids talk about God without you bringing it up?
I think, let me say this. I was at my wife's school the other day, and I was hearing the young guys talk, and they kept saying, on God, on God.
Yeah.
And I asked them, I said, do you know how serious that statement is? Do you know how serious that statement is? Or are you just, I know the reason why you're saying it, but do you know how serious that statement is? But I would say this. Even in my household, God wasn't preached. Prayer wasn't preached. Even though my mother had a relationship, it wasn't preached. So I didn't understand it until I got around someone who preached it. Mm-hmm. So now today, I know that wasn't preached in a lot of households. But I'm saying now today, do you think that is being preached in the households today? They even took it out of the schools. They don't even want that type of verbiage being pronounced or even mentioned in the schools. And because they don't have that preached in the household, because that's where your kid starts to learn who they are from the home, if it's not preached, they're not going to know the significance of it. So I hear the younger guys saying something about it, but I don't hear them saying enough.
Okay. And when they say it on God, I don't even think it's in them.
Spiritually connected to it.
Well, what would you change the curriculum in the school system? You come from Sula High School. Let's talk about Sula for a minute. Let's do this.
Ram life.
Got you, babe. Let's talk about Sula real quick. I watched Lean on Me a couple days ago, and Sutton High School came right to my mind.
Right.
When I was there, and first let me say this, a lot of people don't connect that Sonny went to Sutton. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. But I would have been class of 96 with you guys. Mm-hmm. It was beginning to shuffle when I left about 94. It has gotten worse over the years. The alumni that we have, because I think we have some wonderful alumni that's doing great positive things, not just in the community, but all over the world. Why aren't they so eager to help this school that once was known for performing in arts, was once known that if you leave their cosmetology class, you're going to have a job? Why?
I don't think that in order to go back and help, you got to be passionate about change. A lot of people have been overconsumed by their own life that they'll say they don't have time. And like I said, everybody is different. Everybody is different. And like we spoke about the other day, if you have never been a part of the problem, you won't focus on trying to have a solution. Mm-hmm. In order to be a part of the solution, you had to be a part of the problem. And that's why the most people that you see out here doing something about it is because we've been a part of the problem.
Yeah.
And now that you know better, you got to do better.
Exactly.
So now that we're, me, you, Aaron, John, my wife, all of us are moving in that direction to try to heal and mold because we were once a part of the problem and we can relate. Some of those people who are alumni, who are in a successful point in their life, they never been a part of the problem and they can't relate to what's going on, so they don't go back. They're not passionate about it because you can't relate.
Very true. Real quick, because we got a couple minutes before we go. Let me see the book. He really want to probably say something about my hands being on this book, but we'll talk about that later. All right, so look, this thick. This a long read. How much you want for this book, boy?
Man, it's $20. It's
$20. I spent $20 on a bag. I might as well spend $20 on my man. How about that? Somebody better speak that truth out here. I won't take this book, though, until you sign it for me. But this is the book, Memoirs from the Cell. I think I did not want to start off with the book or bring it out in the middle because I wanted the man behind the book to give you a reason to go get the book. And I think he has today. Last week I started something that I want to continue each week. And last week I allowed Miss Yolanda Smith, shout out Miss Yolanda Smith, Group Trucking LLC, to leave the people with something. They starting the work week off. Leave the people with something. And whatever the something may be, if it's buy your book, because it's going to change your life. I doubt that that's what you're going to say, but leave the people something that, you John Bell Jr.
Well, first of all, I just want to tell everyone that's listening has a ear to hear and a heart to understand. If you have been motivated by anything you have heard today, and you are sitting on your couch watching TV, watching football or whatever may have you, and you have been moved to help out. You know that you've overcame something and your life used to be in shambles and now you got it together. You are obligated to give back. Turning a blind eye is a coward move because you see trouble, you see problem kids all around you. If you have been motivated today by anything you heard, to get up off your couch, to come from behind your desk, and to give your time. You don't have to give your dime, just give your time to this movement of helping these younger kids and helping this generation out, because these are going to be our successors. We're passing the torch to them. And if we're passing the torch to them, they're a representation of us. So if you've been moved or you've been motivated by anything you've heard today, it's your obligation to do something and help give back.
Where can they reach you? Where are you? Social media?
Coach John Bell on IG. I'm at John Bell Jr. on Facebook.
Where can I get the book?
CoachJohnBell.com. That's my website. If you order it off my website, you can get it delivered to you signed. It's not too many times you're going to be able to read a book and meet the author. Mm-hmm. And it's also on Amazon. It's 5 stars on Amazon. You can check for yourself. Look at the reviews. These reviews are from people who I know and from total strangers.
So,
Memoirs from My Cell, The Resurrection of John Bell Jr.
Hey, y'all. I do it for y'all here. I do it for y'all here. I do it for y'all here. Only service good. Did your buddy do good? Did I give you my Connie Chung?
Man, you did amazing.
That's all
If I didn't believe in you, I wouldn't be here.
There it is right there. Hey, look, y'all started y'all work week off with us. I appreciate it. I will be back next Sunday with actually another Suitland alumni. We'll see who it'll be. This is Sundays with Sonny. I appreciate y'all on purpose. You need the book. You want to reach out to them, do that. This is what we're going to do. We're going to network out here. We're going to make some changes. We're going to make some changes. We're going to make some changes. Reach out. I know you want to do the thing with the girls. Reach out. Definitely all that. He can make it work. Y'all got matter of fact, y'all got a nice story together. That'll work out. I appreciate all of you all tuning in.
Tell me about this. Listen, we started, me and my partner Aaron Goff, we have started a mentor program called the Powerhouse, where we're going to train your child to be a success. Look, we're going to train him to be a success before the time he gets out of high school. We're going to teach him the technical skills. We're going to teach him life skills. We're going to teach him man stuff before he even gets out of high school. That's a promise. We guarantee results if your child is willing to do the work. You get Powerhouse Mentoring Program. Look, details will be coming soon. Reach out to me on Facebook, on Instagram, DM me, and I will keep you posted on what we're doing, how we're doing it, and the change we're looking to have. Powerhouse, all day. Love y'all. God bless. Powerhouse.